Okay, good morning, everybody. We are going to begin today. It is almost the end of September. I can't believe we've gone through the first month so quickly. We'll discuss the homework first, and we'll actually compare three students' assignments, but the students' assignments will be anonymous. Who can tell me what is the word anonymous?
Without name.
Exactly, Olha, beautiful. So if you are one of the three students whose assignment I show as an example, and if I point out like a little mistake in the grammar, don't say, it was me, I'm so sorry, teacher. Stay anonymous. I'm not naming any names. So I like to say that first. So we're going to look at three different homework assignments that people turned in, but I want to keep it anonymous. If I say something, I say this assignment was done perfectly. Don't say, oh yeah, teacher, that's mine because I'm the best. Stay quiet. You know who you are, just for that exercise. Right. So, and if I'm pointing out mistakes, don't cry, don't feel bad. It's for everybody. Okay. And we're all adults, so I think we can handle that. So yeah, we'll compare paragraphs. We'll actually compare three. When I was looking early this morning at assignments, I saw three different ways people did that. So that'll take about the first 30 minutes. And then we're going to split the class into two groups for two separate activities. And I'll explain that as we go. Then we'll take our 10-minute break, and then we will finish listening to the podcast, the Rough Translation podcast, and we'll find out what happens to Caitlin. So if you haven't finished it already, maybe you're dying to know, does Caitlin still hide at her desk and act like the lonely American with her salad, hiding at work? Or has she accepted these French values and changed her own behavior as a result? That's what we're discussing. So we'll find out the answer, what happens to Caitlin. Then after we finish that, we'll end with a nice breakout room discussion, and then we will begin chapter 1. So I think about 60% of you have this textbook. The rest of you will get it Friday. Benedict will hand it to you. So that's what we'll do. We'll give it a nice little preview and get started with this textbook. It's time to start working from the book. And that is it. I do have an announcement to make. I would like to welcome, I think for the first, I don't know, Hind, this is your first time coming to my class. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Hi,
all right, so everybody welcome Hind. I don't know if you've met Hind yet, but here she is. Welcome.
Welcome, Hind.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so here we go. So it's always nice when we get new voices, new ideas, and get to know each other. Okay, so we'll get started right here. I'm going to go to the assignment and show everybody what it looks like on Google Classroom. So here's our Google Classroom page. The assignment due today, when eating at your desk is forbidden. So review the instructions of the assignment, listen to the podcast, and follow the instructions on the worksheet. And most of you did this very well, but I'll go over the instructions. So I'd like a volunteer reader to read these instructions. Would Anila, you look like you're ready to read. Would you like to volunteer?
Yes. Sure.
Okay, go for it, Anila.
After listening to the podcast, when eating at your desk is forbidden, describe some of the reasons that French labor laws pertaining to lunch breaks come from the Industrial Revolution, described in 35 to 60 words.
Right. So that's the question. It's very specific. Describe some of the reasons that France's labor laws about lunch breaks come from the Industrial Revolution. So It was exactly the part that we finished last week. So why do they have this special law in France that you can't eat in the same place where you work? The reason, it comes from the Industrial Revolution. So what's that all about? So now I'm going to go back to my slides, and this is where I want to stay anonymous. Anonymous. Here we go, totally anonymous. I'll actually, here we go. Let's call this example number 1. Well, this will be example number 2. And this will be, let's see, example number 3. Okay, now remember, if you see yours, don't say, that was mine, teacher. Just shh, we don't need to know. So here we go. So one student turned this in, and the question I want to ask everybody is, did this student follow instructions? Let's see, would anybody else like to volunteer to read?
Me, Sandra.
Okay, Sandra, so just where I've circled.
Okay, in France, lunchtime is an important time. It is French tradition and by law to leave work for lunch and enjoy lunch and have a break from work. Even if at lunchtime the weather is terrible, lunchtime is lunch and work time is work time. The French have a policy of not mixing because for them lunchtime is a time to take a break and talk about other matters than work.
Okay, so let's answer the question. Whoops, stay on that one. Did this student follow instructions?
No.
Let's take a vote. If you say yes, raise your hand. You could do the hand raising emoji, or you could, if your camera's on, you could raise your real hand like this. So let's take a vote. Did this student follow instructions? Yes, raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands up. That's correct. They did this correctly. They certainly made the word count. Yes. I don't see any grammar mistakes. The writing, in fact, is lovely. Crystal clear. And I could say this student is definitely an upper level student. So if the writing is good, they show me that their English is flawless. Wow. What's the problem? Who could tell us?
I think she didn't mention the large and revolution of the assignment, like when eating at your desk is forbidden.
Exactly. She missed the student, whoever the student was, missed the question itself. And that's very, very common. This is not the only student. Many, many students did this. They wrote about the general topic, but totally missed the question. So what's the question? What are the reasons that the law comes from the Industrial Revolution? So that's the problem. So I certainly gave him credit for the assignment, but I wrote in the little chat box, please follow instructions, take a look. But perfect English, perfect grammar, just missed the question. I like to use the example of, imagine if you're a chef at a restaurant and someone orders a quesadilla. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to make a giant plate of spaghetti. And then you say, here you go. And the spaghetti is delicious. What's the problem? Same thing. It's missing the instructions. So you want to make sure when you're following the instructions on assignment, before you start writing, read carefully. And that's for everybody. All right. So here is the next one. right here. Would anybody like to volunteer? The student did a lot of writing.
Me,
Absolutely unique.
according to the food culture historian Martin,
Mhm.
the origins of the French lunch law began by the industrial revolution of the 9th century.
Mhm.
Some of the reasons that France's labor laws are more and more workers were spending most of the day stuck inside workplaces. Thermometer makers got mercury poisoning. Matchbook makers got pussy jaw.
Mhm.
The workers' health was in danger. Not only toxic chemicals in factories, but they discovered that there were more microbes per cubic feet than outside. So I can say the word environment was contaminated. Contaminated.
Contaminated. Mhm. Yep.
The influence of many deputy doctors in the National Assembly since the political structure in France was very centralized.
Centralized. Mhm.
Centralized.
Mhm.
They use the power to put into effect this revolution.
Okay. All right. So let's do the same thing. Did this student follow instructions? If the answer is yes, raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
I'm 50%, Maya.
Now, here's a quick question. Who wrote this? This might sound very strange. Who wrote this? This might sound very, very strange, and I can tell from the looks on your faces. Let's take a look at this writing right here. According to the food culture historian Martin, the origins of the French lunch law began by the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century. That's absolutely correct. Thermometer makers got mercury poisoning. Matchbook makers got falsy jaw. That line right there, does that sound familiar to anyone? Have you seen that or heard that somewhere before?
No, I think it's not in the
Show you
podcast.
exactly where it came
I
from.
think teachers.
Here it is. This is the transcript of the podcast. And this is where I'm going to point out our cultural difference. We're getting ready for college right here. Hang on 1 second. Gonna have to mute somebody. I hear a fork scraping. Okay. All right. So this is where when you go through the podcast right here, this is where you can hear it and you can see it.
When can we do that? What is, as the economy develops?
And Caitlin scurrying back to her office with her salad.
Oh, yeah.
Like when she does sometimes go out with her colleagues at lunch.
I do go out with them, and I love spending time with them about and work. And when you're at lunch, you're
Her historian.
Jeepers, there is a law that regulates how we sit down to eat during the workday. So that got me started.
He got very interested in the origins of the French lunch law. The story Martin tells begins in the wake of the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century.
As the economy developed, the distance between someone's residence and the workplace increased.
More and more workers were spending most of their day stuck inside workplaces.
Now, workplace in the 1890s, as you might imagine, were health hazards.
Thermometer makers got mercury poisoning. Matchbook makers got phossy jaw.
Okay. Does everybody see what I'm pointing out?
Mm,
So let's go back to the student's writing. So if I go back to the writing, the student wrote, thermometer makers got mercury poisoning, matchbook makers got phossy jaw. What's the problem here? And this is a cultural difference I'll take some time to talk about. So I'll ask the question again, who wrote this?
French.
No.
The creator of podcast.
Right. So Sandra is pointing out the problem. Every word is exactly the same from the transcript of the podcast. So it's not the student's original writing. Does everybody understand? So if you're taking word for word something that something that you read or listened to, the source, what do you need to do?
Explain with your own words.
Exactly. Put that in quotes. You put it in quotes to indicate where you're getting it from. And then exactly what Sandra's saying. And then explain in your own words. Now, she did do that, or he did do that right here. This student right here, when I was looking, I could recognize it. I could say, yes, this, what I put in yellow, that's the student's writing. That is the student's writing. This is a quote, but it needs to have quotes. Does everybody know what a quote is, what I'm doing with my fingers? So this is part of punctuation. When you take a piece of someone else's writing, you quote it and then you explain it. Otherwise, it just looks like you're taking it from somebody else. So part of this is almost the same. Down at the bottom, that's the original. This is original. This is definitely the student's writing right here. This is not. I'll put in blue. That is not original because this was directly from the podcast. That part right here was not, but this part was. This part was the student's own words. So we need to distinguish where the quote is, where you're taking it directly from the source, and where you're putting your own words in. And definitely no need to list 1, 2, 3. Just keep it in a nice paragraph. And then when you take something word for word, put it in quotes. Definitely put it in quotes. So pretty close. I can see the student definitely understands the topic, but we're not distinguishing their own writing from the source. So we're pretty close. I definitely gave the student credit, but wrote in the notes what I just said right here: distinguish your own writing with quotations and keep it in a short paragraph. So we're getting there. Now here is number 3. Okay, Yana, would you like to read?
Yeah.
Okay.
As the economy developed, more and more people stayed at workplaces. But at the time, there were many health hazards at workplaces. To protect workers' health, the law was made which say work site had to be ventilated during eating breaks, and work site had to be evacuated during eating breaks. That's why it came from the Industrial Revolution.
All right. Now, did this student follow instructions?
It's shortened.
Well, it's a very small word count, 35 to 60 words, so pretty simple assignment. But did they follow the instructions?
Yes, straight.
As the economy developed, more and more people stayed at workplaces. Is that the same or is that different from what we heard in the podcast? This is different. This is original writing right there. It's paraphrasing it. It's not taking it directly, so there's no need to quote. By that time, there were many health hazards at workplaces. Okay, that's explaining the problem. To protect workers' health, and then the apostrophe possessive, so that's good grammar. The law was made, comma, which says work sites had to be ventilated during eating breaks. And I could tell they did the cutting, they did the copy paste, but this student did actually quote, they did use these. So that's very important. When the student took the words from the original text, they credited the text by using quotations, indicating that's not my writing, that's someone else. And here's the answer to the question. That's why it came from the Industrial Revolution. So in effect, did this student follow instructions?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They did. They absolutely did. So when you look at it this way, was this a really hard assignment? Too hard for you to complete? I think it's pretty simple, right? However, following the simple instructions can be the hardest part. When you really look at it, the instructions are sometimes the hardest part to follow. All I need to do is write a few sentences, but I need to answer the question and show that I followed the instructions and show that I listened to the story. So that's what we're looking for. So in college, this one would get credit. The second one would be, the professor would say, please redo, please follow instructions. The first one, the professor would say, beautiful writing, lovely writing, but did not follow instructions. So that's what this exercise was for. Now I'm going to divide the class into two groups. Are you excited? Are you ready? So,
Teacher,
yes, Anila.
there is one word in the question, pertaining. What does that mean?
Pertaining, related to.
Pertaining,
Related to.
related?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So one group, I'm going to go to a breakout room to finish the assignment. And one group, we will discuss further cultural differences. So how will I divide the groups? First, I need to make sure that I've received all of the assignments that were completed. So I'm going to go review Google Classroom because it's always very important. Now, Sometimes Google Classroom can be tricky. If sometimes students will do an assignment, but then not hit submit. So I'm going to show exactly what that looks like. Now, when I leave my screen and I go into the page, our Google Classroom page, whoops. I go into our Google Classroom page. It looks a little bit different because I'm in as the teacher. So I have 4 options: stream, classwork, people, grades. So what I've done here is this. You might see in Google Classroom a mystery student. Who is this mystery student down here? Well, I'll show you. The mystery student is me. I have added myself as a student. So I created just a Gmail account, and I call it Teacher Demonstrations, because I'm going to make a demonstration as a student to show you exactly what it looks like when you are submitting something on Google Classroom. So this page is not my teacher page. It's what it looks like for you. So if I look here at the stream, okay, this is announcing everything to class. This is Benedict's assignment yesterday. Aha, here's George's assignment due today. I click on that, and this is exactly what it looks like for you. So so everybody who has not completed this, or this, I'm demonstrating to make it easier. Listen to the podcast and follow the instructions in the worksheet. What's the first thing I should do?
Listen the podcast.
There you go. So I click here, I listen to it. I can read it as well. I showed everybody how to do that last week. And then once I listen to it, I have an idea. What's the next thing I should do? Follow the instructions. The instructions are right here. Everybody see where I'm clicking? So I click right here. There we go. And I can't write on it at first. So what's the next thing I should do?
We can just write on Google Documents.
There you go. So it says open as a Google Doc right there. Open as a Google Doc. Aha, now I've got it as a Google Doc. And I'll say, when I begin my assignment, I'll say, I'll give a nice topic sentence. So I want to write, okay, a paragraph, answer the question. How do I do that? The reason France's labor law about lunch breaks comes from the Industrial Revolution is, and I finish my writing. Once I'm ready to submit, what do I do? Oops, I'm sorry. I go back here. Going back for the demonstration. If I go back to this, add or create, where is that document that I was just working on?
Google Docs.
Google, it's in the Google Drives. So there it is. There I see that's the new one that I was just working on right there. So I would add the Google document, add it. There it is. And then I want to press what?
Turn in.
Turn in. There you go. So I only wrote one, not even half a sentence. I wouldn't give myself a very good grade, but that's how to turn it in. And if I make a mistake, oh, I realized I didn't mean to turn that in, I'll unsubmit it. Okay. So now I will ask a quick question. Going back to my teacher page. Okay, so the reason I wanted to show everybody that is because I wanted to know, is there anybody who has finished it but not submitted it, pressed turn in? Because I have Ayano, Doris, Anila, Sandra, Jean, Marie, Magdala, Shamara, Letitia, Gracie, Svetlana, and Olha has completed the assignment. So is there anybody that doesn't show up here as having completed the assignment? So right now I'm asking, did anybody do it, but just not attach it and turn it in? Right now you can say, oh yes, I did it, and I'll check. Okay, so this is all correct. Everybody I see who has completed it has completed it. All right, so now I'm going to stop my share. And now I'm going to divide the class into two groups. Those who have completed the assignment, I'm going to move into one breakout room, and we're going to watch a scene from the hit Netflix series Emily in Paris, which identifies the exact cultural differences that this young woman, Caitlin, is experiencing. And for those who have not completed the assignment, I'm going to put you into a separate breakout room so you can help each other complete that assignment. And then we'll come back together. So two breakout rooms. And I'm looking at everybody who has completed the work. Two breakout rooms. Here we go. So two breakout rooms I'm going to assign manually. First breakout room will be, I'm going to look right here who completed the assignment. Okay, Ayano will join Doris, Anila, Sandra, Jean, Magdala, Shamara, Letitia, and Svetlana, and Olha. I think, thanks to Olha, I'm starting to learn how to read Cyrillic. Okay, so everybody I just named, good job. You completed the assignment. You're going to go to breakout room 1. Daniel, Gracie, Hind, Lunique, Yana, and Isabel, you're going to go to breakout room number 2, and you're going to complete the assignment together. Okay. Well, actually, I don't need to make a separate breakout room. Everybody here, just stay right here. And what you are all going to do is you're going to complete the assignment together. Any questions?
You have to listen it first and then.
Well, you have to just go, you have to follow the instructions.
Mhm,
And you can also read in the transcript.
mhm.
So everybody here, you want to take this time to catch up with your assignment and make sure you turn it in so that everybody can be on the same page when we come back. So everybody here, you want to catch up with the assignment. I'm going to go jump in with the other breakout room right now. Hind, are you able to find the assignment on Google Classroom?
I just tried to find it in my phone. Can you just tell me it's when it's posted, please?
Sure, it's the one due today. It's titled, When Eating at Your Desk is Forbidden.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I'll give you guys a quick, well, actually, no, you know what? Isabel, Gracie, Hind, Daniel, Lunik, Yana, I think you guys can help Hind. Hind is a new student. You can help her follow along. Sound good? I'm going to jump into the other breakout room.
Hi, Gracie. Hello.
Hi, Daniel.
Hey, and how are you? So I was today I have an appointment, but a medical appointment. So I'm late on in the class today. So the teacher talk about the assignment. I don't have I was I wasn't time to do it. So do you can hear the assignment now, or the transcript? Hello.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
So we have to listen it right now one more time and then just write down 35 to 60 words. Maybe let's start.
Okay.
Can someone share screen? Or-
I thought you were just waving to say hi. Angela.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm good. You?
Good, good. Yeah, I thought you would just give me the neighbor wave, you know? I didn't, that goes up. You can move that up, yeah. And yeah, just sitting at 12.
Okay. How you look today?
Good, how are you guys?
I look good.
Hello.
When they do it,
Hi,
I do
Daniel.
when
Hi.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
I answered
That's when they started.
the question on the wrong homework.
For 5 years, but I only work
In Google Classroom.
in Boston. Like I work like on Friday.
I uncheck the Google
Friday,
Classroom
Saturday,
now.
Sunday, just 3
I'll
days.
check to Google
6 to
Classroom
6
now.
p.m. to 3 a.m.
That I-
That's hard work.
Yeah.
You have completed your assignment?
You make money when you drive with drunk
No,
people.
I don't
That's
have.
what I did at first. I do it when I need like Christmas money. But man,
I can hear you, but I
You
have
hear?
many. Say again.
I don't. I had an appointment. In a medical appointment, so I don't have any time to complete my assignment. But I'm on the street now. It's very difficult for me to do something.
Yes, I know. I know.
I hear silence. Who remembers how to find the transcript? Daniel, do you remember how to find the transcript?
Yeah, I supposed to go to Google Class and open the link, and I will find the Google the transcription.
The transcript, it's in the podcast itself. So I'll demonstrate that right now for everybody. So here we go. Here we go. All right, so everybody here can see my screen, right?
Yes, I see it.
Beautiful. Okay, so when you so right here it's about 9:35, 10 minutes in where we stopped last time. When you are listening, you want to press this option right there for the transcript, and you can read. And where the answer to the question is, it's where we finished last time. Right about here.
There was thus, there was.
So everybody knows the question they're trying to answer, right? Isabel? Yeah, I just got to get a show of hands of who's here.
Can you repeat?
I just want to make sure. Yana, I know you're present. Gracie, are you here?
No.
Isabel?
Yes, I'm reading now, teacher.
Okay, great. I just want to make. Is everybody watching what I'm demonstrating?
Yes.
Okay, so the answer to the question is, why did this law about lunch come from the Industrial Revolution? And it's right here.
So.
Yeah, Georgian, what is your suggestion? Maybe we have to listen it together because like it's very disturbing when I try to listen and everybody speaks.
Well, you were here last class, right, Yana?
Huh?
Well, what I want you to do is follow me because I'm showing everybody. So you can read the screen. You can read the screen and listen at the same time. So this is exactly, I'm just kind of reviewing for everybody here what we did last class. Here we go.
And there is no sound.
Oh, you're not hearing sound?
No.
Okay, thank you, Yana. Let me fix that. Hold on a second. Oh, I see the mistake. Thank you, Yana.
Why?
I don't think any of my colleagues have.
The origins of the French lunch law. The story Martin tells begins in the wake of the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century.
As the economy developed, the distance between someone's residence and the workplace increased.
More and more workers were spending most of their day stuck inside workplaces.
Now, workplace in the 1890s, as you might imagine, were health hazards.
So this is the answer to the question right there. I'm going to underline it. How does this answer the question? Daniel, you want to give it a shot? So Daniel, how would this answer the question right there?
Sorry, teacher. Repeat for me, please.
How does this answer the question, what I've just underlined right there? And I'll play it again.
Play it again, please.
Someone's residence and the workplace increased.
More and more workers were spending most of their day stuck inside workplaces.
Now, workplace in the 1890s, as you might imagine, were health hazards.
There you go. Workplaces in the 1890s were health hazards. Why would that be a reason to make a law?
Oh, okay. Do you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
They make law for it because in that period, people was very don't have many distraction at work. I think the to discuss they give okay, it's work. They give them a time for to take to separate work and work and eat, I think.
Not exactly. Not exactly. It was a little more, it was that, what's a hazard right here?
Danger.
Danger. Beautiful.
Right.
Yana,
Okay.
good job. So if the place you're working is really dangerous, here's how dangerous it was in the Industrial Revolution.
Thermometer makers got mercury poisoning. Matchbook makers got phossy jaw.
There was dust, there were fumes.
And it wasn't just the toxic chemicals in factories.
Even department stores, they discovered that there were more microbes per cubic feet than outside.
So this is how dirty it was
Grab some lunch. Settle.
during the Industrial Revolution right there. Imagine you go to work and you're working with dust and dirt and poison every day. Are you going to sit there and then are you going to open up your Chipotle burrito and your salad if you're sitting next to dirt and poison?
Georgian one means posy jaw.
Phossy jaw. Oh, it's like I never heard of it till phossy jaw. It's like a disease. It means like you can't open your mouth very well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So basically, people are working in factories. The Industrial Revolution means that the country is building and industrializing factories. Everything, there's pollution and dirt and chemicals, and it's nasty. So all these people are getting sick. So what's the reason they would make this law that you cannot eat where you work? Hind, would you like to try?
I think you should to free your mind and take time to relax and after come back to work.
Is it so that you have time to relax, or is it so you don't die?
Yeah.
That's the reason. It's because people are getting poisoned. It's not because the French know how to relax. They're getting poisoning. So if your work is a dangerous place, it's safer to take your lunch some far away from where you work. Does that make sense? I want to hear from, I think Daniel's with me. I want to hear, and Yana's with me. I want to hear from everybody else. Isabel, I haven't heard from you. Are you understanding what's going on here? Yana, can you say, give us your understanding of the question?
Yeah, I guess like it's because the law forbidding eating in workspace because it was unsafe for health, and also like might be many people was sick after and like stay, how to say, like has this break from work, and it was dangerous for factories also.
Exactly.
Like, they lose workers, so it's
Exactly.
productive.
Exactly. Beautiful. So yeah, if everybody's getting sick and you know catching all these diseases because they're working with chemicals, they want to get people away from the factories to a clean place. Eat lunch in a clean place. When you're finished, go back to work. So that's the reason for the law.
Sometimes,
Hind, yeah. Hind and then Lunique.
Sometimes the workplace is very stressful.
Yeah, but there's a difference between stressful and dirty.
Yes.
And poison.
I just remember, like in my hometown, there is large factory, large metallical factory, and this factory gave to people milk. It's like to reduce poison, like extra milk. They have to drink always milk.
Exactly.
Does it really work?
Great. Did anybody else grow up in an industrial area where safety and health hazards were a real problem? Hind, what were you going to say?
That means the law just for factory.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. Here's the problem. This law was for everybody. So maybe you work in an office. There's still a law. In France, you could work in a clean office and the law says, get out of your office. Go outside and eat your lunch.
Actually, I like this law.
And that's why there's this cultural difference. The French are used to it because it's over 100 years. That's what they do. But when somebody goes to that country, they're at work, their workplace, their desk is clean. Everybody gets up and leaves, and their boss says, go, you can't eat lunch at your desk. The story is Caitlin, the American, is going to say, why? What's wrong? And now you know why, where this law comes from.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, does everybody feel confident finishing the assignment, answering the question in a short paragraph? I'm going to go check in with the others. Keep talking to each other. I haven't, Gracie, Isabel, have you, are you in quiet meditation, my friends?
I'm here.
Okay, you're both here. Okay. Do you have any questions about this assignment? Okay, so try your best to, everybody, try your best to catch up with this. I'll give you a few minutes on your own, and then I'm going to check in with the rest of the class right now. You're welcome.
Okay.
I can't see the question. Where can I find it, please?
They're looking for the question.
I can't find the question.
Oh, you have to go to the Google Classroom and open the assignment, and then you see a document attached, and you can open, or you can create. In the document, you see the question, and then you create your answer just there.
Okay. Thank you.
You are muted, teacher.
Thank you, Anila. So great work with both teams, both breakout rooms. There was a lot of good discussion going on. I like it. What we're going to do is we're going to take our 10-minute break, and when we come back, I'll show you right now. So the first breakout room discussed these two perspectives on this TV show. We'll get everybody to join that discussion when we come back. But right now, it is time to take our break. The way there's a law, you must leave your desk when you when you eat your lunch. Leave your screen for 10 minutes, everybody.
Okay.
Get a cup of coffee, step outside. Okay, everybody, good work. Everybody step outside and leave your screen. Here we go. 10 minutes, I'll see you soon. Take a break. Good work, everybody.
You can work all the time and forget family, but sometimes people love the work because she feel complete, just like her. Um, and if you have a good work and you make a good money, you all set. The guy say he worked for leave because he worked just for pay the bill and enjoy life. I think this is
Nice. Ayano, what do you think about these two perspectives, the American and the French perspective? Give us your interpretation.
Yes. He is working for only money, but she is finding a joy or accomplishment in her job. That's a different side of these people. But if their life stage will be changed, for example, have a family, child, the work-life balance will be changed.
Anila, I remember when when I joined the breakout room, you were saying that you'd never heard of these two different ways of looking at the world. Wait, is Anila still here? Oh, I think we lost Anila. Never mind. Let's hear from somebody else from that first breakout room. Gracie.
I couldn't listen well the last video, but I have my idea from the podcast. And I think would be a cultural term in those kind of revealing or perspective, because you know how the people live in United States and Europe is more usually to have that kind of break or enjoy that kind of life. I think it's a cultural term, I think. It's what do you learn?
Thank you, Gracie. Olha, what's your take on the way these two characters are looking at life and their work?
I think that Emily just wants to be helpful and useful to change this world, maybe from her work, and her work brings her a lot of happiness. I think that's why she don't understand how it could be punishment. And the guy just go to work without any emotions. He just disengaged in the company results and productivity. He just want to make money and nothing else.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Now, anyone else want to comment on these two characters before we continue?
Yeah, I want to try, teacher.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they talk about happiness. Yeah, the French guy think you're not supposed to work so hard to happy and live his life. In American culture is different. The woman think if she works, she can get everything that she want, and she can travel and discover the good thing that I think.
Nice job. Jana, you mentioned how much you loved the show last week. Do you want to add something? Because I think you've watched the whole series.
Yeah, I guess both ideas, both character and mentality, it's good. Like for French, like he likes just to live this maybe routine life, like do job, enjoy lunch, dinner, and just I guess maybe it's a little bit boring because he just stay at same level, but her life, like her job gives a lot of opportunity to her to travel, to see world, to like know different culture, and it's just her style. I prefer her style.
Very good point. I don't know if everybody caught it, but Jana's pointing out that Emily wants to, I'm drawing an arrow, she wants to move up in the company. She wants to be successful. That's her desire is constant. She constantly thinks about work because she wants to be successful. And for her, that success is going to bring happiness. And for him, he thinks she's crazy. And you can see the look in his face when she says, work makes me happy. He looks at her. This actor does a great job. Right? Look at the eyes right here. Here we go. She says, work makes me happy. I'm going to stop on his eyes right there.
Yes, it's good to make money, but what you say, success, I say it's exactly a balance punishment.
But I enjoy work and accomplishment. It makes me happy.
There it is. Look at the eyes right there. He thinks she's crazy. Look at that man. He's just like, Who are you? He thinks he's looking at some type of alien from outer space. Are you insane, woman? What are you talking about? Work makes you happy. And she looks at him the same way, like she's talking to an idiot. Like, I work hard, I become successful. This is the great American face. That expression, I mean, the eyes right there. I work hard, I become successful. Life is better when you are successful, you moron, you weird French guy. And then he's like, you want to punish yourself and work? He looks at her like this, like, are you insane, American woman? What is wrong with you? They're both looking at each other like they're aliens. Get out of my country, you crazy person. Go back where you came from.
Go back
Go back to America and go work yourself to death. It's a beautiful scene.
But teacher, I
Yeah.
think the culture and the work culture even in the office is different between American and French. Because I had yes, because I had the two experiences with American company and French company. In Haiti, we had for example, Texaco, the petroleum company, Exxon, I mean, yeah. Even on the desk, you can enjoy your work because you can take some time and go to see other people, to talk, to make a joke. And even on the computer, after 2 hours, the computer is blank by itself because they program the computer. Now you need to stand up and go somewhere to, even go out the office, or even go to see other people to make a job. For the French company, it's different. When you have to work, you have to be focused. Focus on your work. Focus. You have only the free time when you go to the lunch and after the work. They enjoy effective. I understand the girls when she said that she can enjoy her work, because even in the office she have time to make some joke, to talk to other people. It's not the same for the French culture. In the French culture.
Thank you so much for sharing. I remember you mentioned that last week, that this was a French company that opened an office where you're from in Haiti, right?
Yes, yes.
Hind, are you still, you're there? You're still there, Hind, right?
Yes.
Hind asked a question in the other breakout room when we looked at where this law came from, and I'm leaving the screen, that screen right there, because we looked at, this was your assignment, the law, how did this law come from the Industrial Revolution? Right here, in the 1890s, there were health hazards. Because everybody was working in a factory, there were poisonous chemicals and dust everywhere. And it was even dangerous for people in, shops, because the Industrial Revolution made everything dirty and polluted. So the idea was, get your lunch away from the dirt and the poison. That makes sense. But then Hind asked a brilliant question in the breakout room. She said, that's okay for factories, but what about everybody else? And I think Jean's question answers Hind's question right there. Hind said, do they do that for everybody? Does everybody have to go away from their desk at lunchtime? And Jean has experienced this in his country, in Haiti, when the French came over to take over. Even though Haitians, even though Toussaint Louverture led the Haitian Revolution to kick the French out, but they still have that code. Even though you led that beautiful uprising to get rid of the French. They still come back and do this when they open their companies. So what does everybody think about that? If you work for a French company, what Jean was talking about, the computer will stop. Get away from your desk now. So Hind, what do you think about that?
Actually, I think it will be nice if you take a break for lunch and go back to your job.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So Hind thinks it's a great idea. What does everybody else think? Those long lunch breaks.
Because if you work all the time and eat in your work, you can feel, when you go home, you can feel you can feel more tired. Because we need a break. Sometimes relax your mind and think about in another thing. I think is really good. You have a lunch break.
All right. I'm making perfect time right here. It's 11:30, so we've got half an hour left of class. We're gonna see what happens with Caitlin. So the TV show is fake, but the situation is very real for foreigners who come to France and have a problem and have a rough time adjusting. Caitlin is the story we're looking at. She's the American who doesn't want to leave her desk at lunchtime because she wants to get her work done. Now, even in 1890, once they passed this law, there were problems. So I've got 3 questions right here. This city right here, it's Paris in the 1920s. The photograph is from 1929. If you force people to leave their work, what should the city provide? You must eat your lunch outside. Does every city have the infrastructure to accommodate thousands of people leaving their workplaces and stumbling into the streets?
No.
Right. So in the 1890s, a lot of these factory workers had a problem. I'm going to ask a volunteer who wants to answer this question. What were some of the problems with this law? And that's Article 9 of the French Labor Code. Let's take 2 volunteers for question number 1. Who wants to take this first question? I see Jean's hand up. Jean, would you like to take it?
Can you repeat the question?
Oh yeah. We're going to listen to the rest of the podcast, but I've asked questions. So I need volunteers for these questions. I see Jean's hand up. So Jean, you want to take question number 1?
I want to try to teach you.
Okay, Jean and Daniel. All right.
The first, the French
Sure.
builds this law to force the employees go out to take a break. But the way the sit to it is it's not very really clear, but it's they do that for the employees take a break to relax, to talk with each other, and to change it their mind before go back to work. That's right.
I'm going to play that. So Jean and Daniel, you want to be ready for this question. What were some of the problems with the French Labor Code? So all of a sudden, the whole country says, stop everything and leave your work to go eat your lunch. And there were some problems. Now, a couple things. Here we have chairs and tables. That's one issue. Who are these people? Are they men or are they women? They're women. In 1890, does it mean the same thing for a man and a woman to leave their place of work? and
No.
start walking around the street? Is that the same experience?
No.
Right. So start thinking about that. There were all of a sudden, there were these new problems created because of this new law.
Yes.
Because a lot of the people working these dangerous jobs in the factories were the women, because they didn't have to get, factories like that, they don't have to pay women as much money. And all of a sudden they say, okay, women, get out of here and go eat. Whoa, what's good? What are they supposed to do now? That's question number one. Now, moving to 2020 to now, 2021, 2022, how did COVID change lunch culture in France? We're going to find that out. 2 volunteers for this question. Anybody? No volunteers? Oh, I see 2 people raise their hands. Yes, Magdala and, okay, Magdala. And I see a lot of people, Yana, Sandra, Shamara, Isabel, Lunique. Who wants to take it with join Magdala?
Yeah, I can take it on the.
Magdala and Yana, beautiful. So Magdala and Yana will take question number 2. I'm going to write that down. Jean and Daniel have question number 1. Magdala and Yana for number 2. And last question, why does Professor Bruegel, might have spelled his name wrong, support the preservation of this law? So after all this time, 140 years has gone by, they have this, the French have this unique tradition of these long lunch breaks outside. Some people suggest that the law should change, but this professor says he likes the law and he wants the tradition to continue. Why is that? So you want to listen to his answer. That's question number 3. 2 volunteers, please, for question number 3. All right, we got Gracie. And someone to join Gracie. Sandra, Gracie and Sandra. Okay. So here we go. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a screenshot of this and the names of the volunteers to answer the questions, just in case you forgot. I'm going to put it on WhatsApp. So who is answering which question? I'll erase my illustrations there. And I'll throw it onto WhatsApp. Whoop. Okay, everybody, here it is. So on WhatsApp, Jean and Daniel take question number 1. Magdala and Yana take question number 2. Gracie and Sandra take question number 3. And that's how we'll end the class. So let's continue listening to the story.
That work sites had to be ventilated during eating breaks.
Shut down the machines.
And Article 9 said work sites had to be evacuated during eating breaks.
Get the people outside and open the windows to let the air in. That was the big public health insight of 1894. And man, was it controversial.
So people would spill over into the street, which became a problem in itself.
So Daniel and Jean, listen closely. Here's the answer to question number 1.
Which led to other problems.
Crowded streets, littered parks, harassment of women in the streets. the first women's strike, actually, by the seamstresses, was about the right to eat in their workplace.
A female labor inspector commented in her yearly report for 1901, the enforcement of this law, quote, appears tyrannical to the women and girls who, living far from their workplace, have taken up the habit of bringing in their already prepared lunch.
They wanted to go back because they thought that eating in the streets was not seemly and eating in restaurants was too expensive for them.
What was the argument on the other side? Was there some very determined immunologist? Was there a Tony Fauci of France who was like a czar of the hygiene or something?
No. It had much to do with the political structure in France. You know, it's very centralized. It also happens that there was a heavy deputation of doctors in the National Assembly.
Doctors, armed with legislative power, in an assembly that was, just let's point out, all men. The seamstresses would protest for 10 years before they'd get some exception to the law. But meanwhile, restaurants and workers started to adjust, and people's food habits started to change.
The moments in the day when the French eat are extremely codified. I mean, you have breakfast between 7 and 8:30, lunch between noon and 1:32. That you can observe throughout the 20th century.
But did the law, you feel, solidify that?
I think it does, yeah. One of the aspects that has been neglected in the research on eating times in French history is the impact of the law.
I've definitely had this conversation with my fiance because
And this voice you hear now is Caitlin, the American who's living in France, struggling with the culture.
because at home we have to decide how we eat, when we eat.
Again, our listener, Caitlin.
And my eating snacks at random times was not conducive to his idea of set meal times. And so he's definitely tried to convince me that this is the better way to go. It hasn't worked yet.
It hasn't worked?
No.
So what if any arguments has he made?
Well, the whole idea that you eat better if you're not snacking, you appreciate the food. Food is meant to be shared with conviviality and you have to sit down and enjoy it. I hear that. I just don't buy it.
Notice the arguments that Caitlin's fiancé does not make. He doesn't say that the reason French adopted this approach is because mechanical ventilation hadn't been invented yet and they needed to protect worker hygiene. He doesn't make an argument about work at all. His argument is about food and the values around eating it. Martin says this is the great misunderstanding of most French people today, to think that the French lunch break was invented to protect the lunch.
I mean, the reason why eating was regulated had nothing to do with the actual content of the plate or so, and everything with the environment in which the meal was taken.
So maybe the way to help Caitlin with her workplace cultural challenge was to make a case for the French lunch break that she had not heard before. Not about the importance of food and not about the nature of being French, but hard, cold research about why a lunch break outside the job is better for work. The only question was, would Caitlin buy it?
I came into this totally prepared to defend my American productivity, and I think my argument is crumbling.
Rough Translation makes the case after this break.
This message comes from of growing businesses each.
This is Rough Translation. I'm Gregory Warner.
Back with various restrictive measures to control COVID spread. NPR's Eleanor Beardsley has more.
In February of 2021, deaths from COVID-19 in France were on the rise.
President Emmanuel Macron is said to be conflicted as he huddles with scientific advisors. He knows
the government had closed restaurants. It was telling workers to stay at home.
Okay, so here is question number 2 for Magdala and Jana. Emmanuel Macron has a problem. You have 130 years of this tradition since the Industrial Revolution, but COVID is changing everything. How?
La menace d'un troisième confinement face aux nouveaux variants, différents scénarios sont toujours envisagés.
And so perhaps it was inevitable that the lunch break law, born in one public health crisis, was suspended in another. France would no longer require people to leave work during lunch. And for some conservative commentators,
C'est une règle qui... tout notre
this
déclin
was
s'incarne
cause
dans
for
cette
celebration.
So right there, the law would change again.
C'est-à-dire qu'un pays où la loi te dit où est-ce que tu dois déjeuner, donc tu dois le faire dans une...
Why should the government regulate eating? They said this is typical bureaucratic overreach, which Martin did not like very much.
I felt it was my responsibility as a historian, but also as a citizen.
Martin feared that President Macron, heading into an election, might appease the conservatives by abolishing this law permanently.
Okay, now question number 3 is coming up right here. So the professor who we've heard from, he's worried that this tradition of the long French lunch break is going to disappear, and he wants the tradition to stay the same. Why?
And Martin, as an historian, had seen how culture change can come in times of crisis. So he sat down at his computer to research the reasons that workers would still need this piece of the labor code in the 21st century. He poured through trade journals, ergonomic studies, happiness research, compiling every scientific argument he could find for lunching outside work. Hey, Caitlin, you there?
Yeah, hi.
And so when I called Caitlin back, I came armed with Martin's research.
If you succeed, whereas all of the French people in my life have not succeeded, this would be impressive.
Okay, we have it on record. Here we go. Let me make a health argument. A full lunch break tracks with better health outcomes because you're not snacking so much. There's less depression, less burnout, more job satisfaction.
I mean, people are just simply happier to take a break, some downtime during the workday. It's good for their well-being.
What do you say to those?
More happiness and job satisfaction. I don't know. I'm pretty happy and I don't feel overstressed. What stresses me out is when I have to step away and I know what's on my to-do list and I can't get anything done on my lunch break.
Okay, productivity.
I really like productivity.
Okay, if you like productivity. So here's an argument. The French love to say that with their 35-hour work week, they're actually more productive.
Much more productive than what is usually said about them.
And one of the arguments is this idea of segmented time. So if you know you have to get everything done before noon and you can't do anything until 1:30, you're going to get everything done in those 3 hours.
Okay, that I buy a little bit because our meetings are incredibly productive. We've shortened the max length of our meetings down to like 40 minutes.
Case closed? Not so fast.
It's difficult as a teacher because I have classes in the afternoon, and when I get done with class, I just want to go home. And so my colleagues will stay pretty late. They'll stay until 7 trying to get stuff done for the next day. And I'm thinking, you could have done that at lunchtime.
Right. You want to get it all done before you leave. Okay. So far, I was not doing well. But there was another argument that Martin had mentioned, and actually the argument we heard most often in the French bistros.
Bonjour.
That taking a break with coworkers made work more collaborative.
Of course, of course. It's a moment of sharing thoughts, sharing...
They said that it's easier to work together if you understand the way that they think.
know what they think, what they are actually.
And if you understand why do they keep saying no to this thing I asked them to do? Why do they work like that? Oh, there's something going on in your life. Maybe that's why you're stressed.
You eat, you drink, and you can understand why.
So you have less conflict, like you have more understanding.
It's only off the record.
It makes our relationship stronger, and it's easier for us after that to work together
And a lot of people said that it made them care about their colleagues more, that it made conflict easier. Several people brought that up, actually.
Okay, new argument. There's fewer conflicts between coworkers when they know each other better in a non-work way, meaning they've created connections with each other. They know each other as people, not just as colleagues.
That I buy.
You do buy.
I buy it. Yeah, my colleagues and I get along really well because I know the names of their spouses and kids, and we talk about life. Whereas that hasn't always been the case in other work environments where I haven't taken lunchtime with my colleagues. My colleague last week, his dad passed away, and I knew every step of the way because every day we would check in. And so I knew how the progress was going, and it definitely helps create community in a way that's not difficult.
In every good film noir, there is that moment when the private eye realizes his client has been concealing some key fact that will crack the case. Now, in this case, the key fact I was missing was probably my mistake. I had this image from her voicemail of her eating this secret solitary salad at her laptop. And so I called Caitlin on a mission to convince her to share lunchtime with her colleagues. But now I realized I only had half the story. When I asked her to describe her ideal lunch, yeah, it starts with the salad and the to-do list alone.
So I can eat my salad in peace, get a few things checked off my list, and then the ideal is when at that moment my colleagues are coming back from their outside lunch and they're on their way for coffee time, which is in a separate spot and a separate place. And so I'll join them for the second half. You don't have to go out of your way to do it because that time is built into your day already.
Think about everything she does not have to do. She doesn't have to schedule a lunch with her coworker. She doesn't have to think about whether they'll be busy or whether she'll be busy. She doesn't have to make a resolution to take more rest time or hope her coworker has done the same. It's all just built into the flow of the day.
That's very true. And I think I've been in France for too long because I've started taking that for granted. That, like, of course, we're all going to stop and go out at the same time. So it's easy for me to say that I love my productive lunch. But I think if I were to go back to a US work environment, I would be shocked and frustrated that we don't have that collective moment.
Really?
I think so.
That's interesting. What do you mean? I mean, like you want to be in a place that has a shared lunch, you just don't always want to share it?
I think that's it.
Caitlin had found a workaround, a way to have her lunch and eat it too.
Compromise.
Even the coffee time that she occasionally joins lasts longer than many Americans' entire lunch break. But the problem with Caitlin's compromise, and she knows this herself, is that if everyone took this on-demand approach to French lunching, there would be no collective lunch for her to duck in and out of.
She's freeloading from everybody else's small talk.
She's freeloading, right. I was talking about this with Katz Laszlo, who we sent to the French bistro. None of my arguments, I told her, had seemed to change Caitlin's ways. And she brought up this other argument.
And maybe another thing that she's missing is interacting with people in different fields.
Bonjour.
Yeah, there's like a famous actor here.
Right now, I just finished a period film.
Who chats with a guy who's on his pension and is really from a whole different working class.
C'est quoi le programme?
And they know each other, and they talk about their day, and they know what's going on in each other's lives. C'est quoi votre relation? There was another two people who I walked up and assumed they were mother and son or something, and they were complete strangers who just wound up at the same table and were like, yeah, we're just having lunch together.
Juste voisin de table.
Je lui ai demandé de m'asseoir à côté parce qu'il n'y avait plus de table.
And I think there's also like a sense of community in that, and a sense of opening your mind because you're talking to people.
Non, je connais pas monsieur, il a été gentil, il m'a dit oui, voilà.
And I think maybe that's something you would miss if you didn't go out.
That is, to me, the ideal lunch where things happen.
Martin also makes this case.
Okay, we'll stop right here because Martin, this is why Martin loves the long lunch tradition. Here it is.
For the value of random encounters on a lunch break. And the funny thing about this argument is that it's not really about making you happier or making you more productive or about greasing the relationship wheels with your coworkers. Martin says that there's just a value to lots of people collectively sharing space at the same time and talking about whatever, with unplanned conversations and unexpected rendezvous that might, just might, spark your next big idea or change your life. Is there any breakthrough or anything that's happened for you that wouldn't have happened without the shared lunch?
Well, I might not have met my wife.
I'll stop it right there. You can listen to the rest on your own. Martin, this professor, wants to protect the lunch break because he met his wife randomly sitting down at a table at one of these long lunch breaks. That's why that long lunch break and that tradition is so important to him. So there's another 7 minutes of this. You can listen to it on your own, but let's wrap up class today by answering these 3 questions. So we have the first question, and this will be answered by Jean and Daniel. So Jean and Daniel, whoever wants to go first, what were some of the problems with Article 9 in the French Labor Code? Jean or Daniel, take it away.
Yeah, the problem is because the place they go to take a lunch is not so good, because for the women, especially the women or girls, because the place is very seem like stress. The men who pass on the street can I forget that.
Harassment. The word was harassment.
Yes, harassment. The women, and there's another problem too. The women who live far in the workplace, they can't leave to go in their house to take what they prepare for lunch. I think it's a problem.
Good job, Jean. Daniel, give us some more information.
Yeah, teacher, the problem, yeah, like Daniel said, is on the street it was not comfortable to get lunch.
Yes,
it's not a place. Yes, it's not a space for that activity. It was better if the workers can go to their home to get like that they like, and it was a problem.
Yeah, very big. Good job, gentlemen. Now 1890, there's another problem. 1890, there's no cars. So how did people get around in big cities? Horses. So imagine you're in a big city with lots of horses. What does the street smell like?
Noisy.
No, think about a horse. Imagine hundreds of horses going up and down a street every day. What are the horses leaving behind? I'm doing. Can you imagine your workplace closes and the streets are covered with you know what? Yeah. And then the government says, eat your lunch outside. And it's mostly women saying, this is insane. This is disgusting. So it was mostly, and the women they have nowhere to sit until later. This is 1929, the government will provide chairs and tables, which today it's not as dirty. And it looks like this perfect place to live because total strangers will sit down and have a conversation. And if you ask a French person, why do you do this? And they say, oh, we are French and we know how to live. No, the government told people, get out of your factory because we said so. Good job, gentlemen. All right. Question number 2, how did COVID change lunch culture in France? And this one, I think it goes to, yes, Magdala and Jana.
Yes.
Magdala, you want to go first, then Jana?
Yes.
COVID-19 has changed everything. How did COVID change? Lunch culture. People can't go at work. Can't go out at work. They have to work at home. So I think they embrace the American culture at time because they can do whatever they want doing their work.
Good job, Yana. Anything to add?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, another detail is that restaurants were forced to close for a long time. So the culture is all these restaurants open and people are thinking, oh yeah, I can leave and go to this restaurant. Wait a minute, what happened to the restaurants? Oh, it's not safe. I have to stay 10 feet or 6 feet or whatever it is away from people.
Yeah,
So
I guess maybe it's big trouble for restaurant industry. Maybe
right.
There's a lot of many profits, and like, yeah, some of them closed.
Right,
forever.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, good job, good job.
People to live.
Oh, I'm sorry, keep going, Yana, what do you want to say?
Maybe something similar, like they cancel this law and they're not required.
Okay, so then when the law comes into question, people like Professor Bruhel really want to keep this law the same. He wants the government to tell people to go outside to eat lunch. Gracie and Sandra, tell us, why does Professor Bruhel like this law and this tradition?
He said first I don't know why they said, but he said if the people know each other, they are more collaborative in the office or on their job. And he also said that it's easier to solve conflict if you know each other. I partially disagree, but he's very agree because he met his wife by the time.
Yeah, so that's why he likes it.
Yeah.
Sandra, anything to add?
Yes, he thought too is less stressful for workers, and they can share time and experience and do better community. I don't know, more productivity if they have a break time.
Good listening, good listening. Yeah, so the people who like this tradition, they argue that forcing people to interact with each other at lunchtime makes them get along better, share ideas with each other. One of the reporters said that it forces people of different social classes to interact with each other. So let's say a doctor, a janitor, a waiter, and a construction worker. Well, not a waiter, they'd be working at lunch. I don't know. People of different social classes who wouldn't come in contact with each other, if they're all forced to go have lunch at the same time, they'll learn about each other. And the argument is that it's a more tolerant, more productive society. If different people are forced to share the same space, they get along better. Who knows? But that's part of the argument. Anyway, good class, everybody. We're going to finish right here. It's okay, we're just over time by 2 minutes. Let's stop the class right here, and I will see you next time. So the next assignment is in chapter 1 of your new book, and those of you who don't have it, you will get it on Friday from Benedict. That's it for today. I will see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.